So we are live and we are going to have a session with Shobhali. She is joining in few seconds. She will teach us how to befriend difficult emotions.
Hi Kritika.
Hi Shobhali, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. And thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for holding this space. Um, let's just, yeah. Do you have a countdown if people are here already?
People are not here as of now. I
Hmm.
had messaged them
Yeah.
in they're starting. I think they will be coming right now.
Yeah. So let's just maybe wait for a few minutes because this is, as you also know, a new medium for both of us.
Yes, yes, yes. So maybe by that you can share something about this so that the people who are joining also can understand.
Yeah. Um, so the pillar process, PILR, is a very simple, it's basically in the work that I do, right? Like it's a lot about emotions and usually a lot about the quote unquote heavy emotions. So what do you do when there is a lot of grief or a lot of sadness or a lot of anger or a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress? And
Mm-hmm.
one way is that somebody holds the space for you. So in a therapeutic setting, um, or in any setting that creates a therapeutic environment, right? So somebody holds that space for you, and then you go through that space. But what I've realized holding that space now for some time is that the the space actually does not have to be held by somebody. You can yourself hold this space if you know the process, right? And so the process is very simple. It says pause. Then it says, once you have paused, then now invite whatever is in. Usually what we tend to do is the moment a heavy or a difficult emotion arises, we tend to push it away. But this process says, instead of pushing away, invite it in, then listen to what the emotion is saying, and then work on releasing the emotion. Because emotions, like everything else in nature, is nothing but an energy, right? And any energy, as we know, as science says, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is just there. It just moves and changes and transforms, right? So emotion, when it comes in as an energy, the problem that happens is that when we avoid it, it gets stuck. And that causes an issue. If instead of avoiding, if we were to invite, it will then come up a little more. As we listen in, it will relax and then we let it go. Yeah. And the whole point of doing this PILR process was to sort of make it easy to remember that, okay, when there is a difficult emotion, where should I start from? Right. And so PILR, pause, invite, listen, and release. And yeah, and maybe in a bit we can sort of go into a little more detail of how do we do each of these steps. What does pause really mean? What do you pause? What does invite mean? How do you invite it in? What does listening mean? What are the questions that you ask and what do you listen into and how do you listen in? And then how do you practice release?
Yes. So just now, Sukanya has also joined.
Yes.
Mhm.
Maybe in meanwhile, what would also be interesting is if you could share your journey with just emotions and the mental states for you? Because I know that the work that you do at Swasthya Bliss is around well-being, and your personal work is a lot around well-being through the component of food and what you're putting in. And I wonder, like, what has your journey been with the emotional space?
Thank you for asking that. So, before I share that, what I try to do is like expand the definition of food.
Hmm.
So, like this conversation is also a food.
Yeah,
It is not food has to be go through the diet.
yeah.
So everything and anything that get assimilated in our being and become a part of parcel of our life is a food. So
Hmm.
Sukanya is not able to join the live. She is there.
Okay,
I think she
okay.
is able to listen to us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we will be
So she won't be able to come in, like her face won't show up on the screen. That's only for the facilitators. But yeah, she'll be able to listen in,
okay.
and she can put up questions if she has questions.
Yes. So Shukanya, anywhere if you get to have any question you want to ask, you can put in the comment
Mm,
section. And meanwhile, we are waiting for other people who signed up to join in.
mm,
Okay. So yeah, I was telling about food. So my journey, like I think we resonate a bit. I was reading your introduction that you from your childhood you were interested that you were
mm,
not interested in the mountain life, and you saw that there is purpose beyond that.
mm,
So similarly, from my childhood, I have been feeling that there is something more meaningful to the life
mm,
which need to be understood. And because I wanted to know about that, I was going to different places where
mm,
I thought well-being is a part of that.
mm,
Well-being is a part of that. So like I was trying to delayer different layers of well-being, and finally I realized there are not particular one layer to well-being. It is like everything is connected. Like if
yeah,
I my mental health will be not sound, if my emotions are not sound, if my physical body is not sound,
yeah,
or even if my community is not there who is not supporting me, I
mm,
can't have a good well-being.
mm,
So yeah, in this journey I'm trying to understand every of this aspect. It is difficult to incorporate and say that I'm completely well,
yeah,
because that's a journey for me
mm,
also. And I hope with all those things like meeting you,
mm,
we are trying to learn and support each other.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Very true. Yeah, and I asked you and I said the food that we put in, and as you said, there are all kinds of foods, and yeah, like what is the food that we put in the form of the physical food that we eat, and all the non-physical, intangible food that we put in through various mediums. Yeah, yeah. Sandhya
So
is there
Sandhya
as
has
well.
also
Yeah,
said, yeah,
yeah.
I'm not sure if Sandhya is able to hear us. I think she is trying to join again.
Mm. I think everybody, if somebody joins, then I think they can hear. What won't happen
Yeah, they
is
can
they
hear.
won't come. Hmm. Yeah.
So, just again an announcement for everyone. If you are there and unable to join the video, you can, if you can hear us, and if you have any questions during the whole process, you can share in the comment, and we will try to take that up.
Mm. Hmm.
So, same question for you, Shobhali. Would you like to share something more about your journey? Like you have been doing so much, like the like so many things like vipassana you have done,
Hmm.
you have bodhicitta you have learned,
Hmm.
samic healing you have done,
Hmm.
and so many other things like I even don't know, like so many things you have done. So would you like to tell the people about your journey and how like you were also in Teach for India, then
Hmm.
you were mentoring people, how you got to connect all those things, and how you came to this stage that it is just a person need to be there for themselves, nobody else is
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
So what made you realize all this is a very means important realization.
Yeah.
So how come?
Yeah. So again, right, going back to the childhood thing of where there was always this consistent thought in the mind that there has to be something more. There has to be something beyond just beyond just what is visible, right? And I guess at that time, what was visible was that you go to school, you study, then you go to college, then from college, you get a job, then you get married, then you have children. This is what seemed to be visible of life. This is what everybody does, right? And yet, like, and it wasn't that I was averse to any of this, or I felt like, oh no, this is not what I want. I was like, yeah, okay, this is there, this is a part of life, but what else? There must be something beyond this. And that just always stayed, right? Um, Teach for India was, I think, the first place in the external world where I felt, oh, this is it. Like, I think I was always looking for a purpose, and Teach for India sort of gave me a space to start actually doing something about my purpose. And so when I read the vision that one day every child will attain an excellent education, I was like, yes, this is it. Yeah. And and it was definitely a great experience, and an important experience for me to have, because it was only through going through that 2-year journey that towards the second year I started wondering. I still believe that education is the key, but I started wondering what education, you know, and and then thereafter, over the next 2 years of being a program manager, my sort of understanding of education just widened even more. Um, from thinking of education as the literal education that we study and we go through in an academic world, to understanding that actually education is basically getting to know something that you don't yet know, understanding it and applying it, right? And so then the question was, okay, what kind of education? Education is important, education is what will change the world, but what kind of education? And that's when I started noticing, that's when I started connecting the dots, that one, yes, when I was with my when I was with my students, of course we worked on academics, and that changed things for them, that shifted things for them. But it wasn't the academics alone, right? We had a very heavy value mindset based class. And if you asked any of my kids back then, what is it that stands out to them about their class, they would always talk about values. Always. Right? And I know that the values are what sort of shifted things for them. And then similarly, as a program manager, working with my fellows, my of course, again, there was a focus on the classroom and how they were teaching. But more than that, my focus was always on how are they growing, how are they seeing things, and what is shifting for them, which then automatically will shift in their classrooms. So I'd already started seeing that it is not about the academics per se. There has to be something beyond. What I had also started seeing is that I really enjoy doing this people development work. Yeah. And then, long story cut short, as I think what worked very beautifully for me was that, one, I was in my own inner journey, and two, I was doing this with other people. And so I think I was very soon able to start seeing that, there is something about the inner world that is much more powerful, and powerful in the sense of, if this shifts, then that will automatically shift. You can't stop that from shifting if this shifts. And the power actually is in shifting this, right? And then once I started understanding that, I started seeing much more clearly how everybody assumes that the power is there. And so everybody's trying to shift things out there. Right? And then, just like you, I had my own quest, and I have done a lot of things. If you were to go back in my Facebook timeline, you'll see everything from being trained as a mountaineer to doing scuba diving. I'm an advanced underwater scuba diver. I'm a professional canine trainer. I'm a horse riding instructor, teacher, mentor, coach, of course, therapy practitioner, of course. So all of these things, plus then the spiritual space opened up for me over the last half a decade or more. And in that duration, I've again explored that space quite a bit, from Mahayana Buddhism to Tantra to Vedanta to going for retreats, going for silent retreats, going for teacher-led retreats. So I've literally explored almost every gamut of the inner work space in some form or the other. And in the last about 1.5 to 2 years, what I have started seeing is when I work with somebody, things start shifting for them when they start connecting somewhere inside. Something shifts inside, and that's what brings about the change. Right? And the interesting thing is that this something usually most people are not able to really define. They know something has shifted, but they don't know what it is. And I think I have been able to sort of now kind of decode it. Right? And if you really think about it, every single human being does whatever they do for just meet three needs. The need to be safe, the need to feel connected, and the need to grow. Every single action, thought, emotion, everything is related to these things. And each of these needs has an arch enemy in a way to say, right? So this need to feel safe, its arch enemy is this fear of abandonment, that I will be abandoned. And so we do whatever we can do to not be abandoned, right? And we can be angry to make somebody scared and not abandon us, or we can shut down and protect ourselves to not feel abandoned. So the arch enemy of the need to feel safe is abandonment. The arch enemy of the need to connect is the fear again that I will be left all alone. Everybody else will go and I will be all alone. And the abandonment and the all alone are slightly different. It may seem the same from the outside, but when people experience it, and when you actually go into the experience, you're able to sense the difference between the fear of being abandoned and the fear of being alone, being left alone. Yeah. And then the third, the growth, the need for growth, its arch enemy is this belief that I need to keep learning, consuming, knowing more so that I become enough, because I am not enough. Right? And you can put whatever you want to put it in, put in it. I'm not good enough. I'm not wise enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. Basically, I am not enough. Yeah. And again, logically, it seems as if all these three needs will be met in the world outside. Right? Because how do I become safe? I buy a house, I buy a car, I have a bank account with a certain amount of money, etc., etc., and I will be safe. So everything in the outside. How do I meet my need of connection? I make more relationships. I ensure all relationships are there with me. I ensure everybody likes me, and then I'm connected. How do I grow? I get a new degree. I get a new fancy, whatever fancier title in my job. Whatever I get, I ensure that the need to grow is being met by my doing something, right? And I think that's where the issue happens. The fact that we are trying to get these needs met in the outside. And so now I've sort of, as I mentioned it, I've decoded it, and I've realized that each of these three needs are actually very easy to met in the being, literally in the physical body, and through the physical body, in a way towards the divine. And when I say the divine, I don't mean quote unquote God the way most people see God, right? When I say divine, I mean the force of the universe. I mean the ancestry, right? So there's a whole spiritual lineage, there's a whole ancestral world behind us. And I mean grounded or safe in the earth below. I mean connected and belonged in the ancestral lineage. And I mean growth in your own evolution and understanding of what's happening in your inner world. Because the more clearly you see within, the more clearly you begin to see outside. Yeah. So that is what I have realized. And to your question of how I am doing or how I came to this realization that it is the person and nobody else, is because of this. Because once this perspective shifts, and it's interesting, the moment this perspective shifts and these needs are met for you in your own being, automatically in the external world, these get manifested. And it seems as if this person has everything. Actually, this person has everything here. And the things outside are just manifesting.
Beautiful. So much sharing. I related to one quote when you were sharing. Ati pinde tatta brahmande. Like whatever is outside is an inner reflection.
Yeah, yeah.
So for all these people who joined just now, Shobhali was sharing her journey, how she came to this realization that there is nobody else, but ultimately at the end of the day we are for ourselves, and our transformation happens because of us. So how she came into this realization and the whole beautiful learning and her journey she shared, there were so much nuggets of wisdom, I could say, at that time. So from here you can take Shobhali,
Yeah.
and I will be at the back listening to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kritika, and thank you everybody for joining. I know some people joined in between, but I think this will just be available online, so that should be fine. Okay, so coming back to the pillar process, right? I shared in the beginning that pillar process is nothing but a way to remind ourselves as to what can be done when there is heaviness of any emotion. And so pillar is pause, invite, listen, and relax. And now let's actually practice how this would look like. So I would invite you, number one, if you're listening and if you're in a space where you will not be disturbed for some time, and or in a space where you're not doing something like driving, let's say, yeah. So no activity where your concentration is needed. Then I would say follow along with me. So wherever you're sitting, just notice where you are sitting and notice the contact between your seat, and your seat is basically your hip bones, your sitting bones, the pelvic floor that touches whatever seat you are sitting on. Yeah. So there's a contact between, for example, I'm sitting on the ground. So there's a contact between me and the ground. And just bring your awareness into feeling that contact, that there is something under me and I can feel it. This is one of the most important things in sort of helping you ground and come into your own body. In fact, this is one of the strongest techniques, most powerful techniques of something known as grounding. Right? Grounding is nothing but stabilizing yourself in the body, in the physical body. So when you feel into this contact, and then of course there are a lot of other things that you do to deepen this work, which we can't really do right now. But just coming into the contact itself can be a little calming. Now, from this space, what I would invite you to do is bring to mind one emotion that you struggle with the most. Right? And it could be fear, it could be anxiety, it could be anger, doesn't matter what emotion. Just allow whatever emotion that you struggle with the most to come up for you. And you can even put it down in the chat if you have something in mind. Kritika, I think somebody else's video is also started. Maybe if you can stop that.
Okay, I'll just a minute.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. So, thank you. So now, whatever that emotion is, think of the last time that this emotion came up for you and try and make it vivid. Yeah. So uh, let's say the emotion that you're working with is anxiety, and the last time it came up was today morning. I'm assuming everybody is in IST, so let's say today morning was the last time that you felt anxious or worried or stressed about something. And so when you go to that moment when you felt this emotion, notice what else was happening in the physical, in the body. Yeah. So it is possible that if there was anxiety, it is possible that there might be something choking around the neck. There might be some heaviness on the chest. You might even notice the heartbeat go faster. You might notice you feeling more hot. You might notice a heaviness in the head. You might notice a strain in the eyes. So different things will happen for different people. Right? All that we need to notice is when that emotion comes up, what happens in the body. Some might even feel
So
like,
people,
hmm,
so just do they need to write in the comment section how do they feel in the body wise and the emotions?
if they want to, they can write, but they don't have to. They can just follow through, and that's okay. They can be with themselves. Yeah. So at times it might also be a certain vibration in the hands, as if something is tingling here. At times it might also be that you want to walk fast, you want to pace yourself, walking here and there. Yeah. So different kind of things that might be happening in the body as this emotion comes up. Okay, so now we've made the connection with one emotion that I struggle with and what is the physical uh, manifestation when I'm struggling with this emotion. And this is important to understand. The emotion may not be causing these physical manifestations. The fact that I am struggling with this emotion is what might be causing these physical manifestations. So and we don't need to fix it, just to see that those two are different things. So we've kind of activated in our body the memory of the emotion and the physical manifestation of the emotion. Now let's work with PILR. So pause, invite, listen, release. And what would help right now is to be in that activated space. That activated space was that you were feeling this emotion in the morning, this emotion of anxiety in the morning. So again, going back to that moment in the morning when you were feeling anxious and being in that space in your head, being in that space, there was anxiety, there were all of these physical manifestations. And now we bring in the first step of pause. Yeah. So you start pause always by first bringing the focus to the breath. So just notice as you breathe in what happens in your body, and as you breathe out, what happens in your body. Bring your awareness to the nostrils, from where, as you breathe in, the breath might go in, breathe out, the breath comes out. And you might be able to notice that as you breathe in and the breath goes in, there's a certain coolness around the nostrils. And when the breath goes out, there's a certain warmth around the nostrils. And now, as you take the next breath in, follow the breath inside and notice if the breath goes down to your belly. If it doesn't go down, then in the next breath in, take a deeper and a slower breath. So slow, gentle, and allow it to go deep into the belly. And as you breathe in, your belly must come out. And then as you breathe out, your belly doesn't cave in, it just falls back to its normal position. Yeah. So when you breathe in, the belly goes out. When you breathe out, it comes back. It doesn't go in like this. Just notice that. The belly going out and the belly going in. Now with the next breath in, as you notice the belly go, the belly has gone out all it can, then the chest will also slightly expand. And similarly, as you breathe out, first the belly goes back and then the chest also slightly falls. Yeah. So now we've noticed this breath at 3 different places in the body. Around the nostrils, we saw coolness when breathing in and a little heat when breathing out. We saw belly expanding and then coming back. We saw the chest opening and then falling back. The moment you do the first step of pause, automatically the body relaxes a little. If you now bring attention to your body, you might find a certain settledness, a certain calm in the body. Yeah, and so this is the first step of pause. Any emotion that's very heavy is basically overwhelming us, where we don't know what to do now because it's in a way overpowering us. So when we pause, we give ourselves a break, some time to separate from that overpowering emotion. Now that you get this break, then you get into the second step, which is a little counterintuitive. Because normally, when there is a heavy emotion, we push it away. We don't want to feel it. But the second step here says, actually invite it in. Yeah. So if the emotion is anxiety, say, okay, I'm ready for you. I'm ready to fight you. I'm ready to invite you in this place. And I want you to just let be. So you can be here. I am here. You can be here. And that's okay. And notice right now how you feel towards this emotion that you struggle with by just by saying this. Invite it in, whatever it is. If it is fear, it's fear. If it's anger, sadness, depression, whatever it is, right? If you can just allow it to be without having to fix it, without having to figure out, just allow it to be. How does that feel? When you can just, in a way, let it be like a guest. And now this emotion, the moment you invite it in and you almost let it as a guest, you might be able to start feeling certain other things about the emotion. So this emotion might take up a shape. If it hasn't already, you can give it a shape now. So what color does this emotion have? Blue, red, black, brown, muddy, orange, any emotion, yeah? Any color.
How to choose the color?
Yeah, you can choose the color, right? You can choose a color, and so in this work, there is no right or wrong answer, yeah, because there are no facts here. And facts also, interestingly, are always based on certain terms and conditions, right? Like, yes, the gravity is what the gravity is, the number is what the number is, but that is provided you're on Earth in a certain way. Only then the gravity works. Beyond a certain atmospheric level, gravity doesn't work. Right? So certain terms and conditions have to be true for any fact to exist. So in a way, there are no facts. There are facts that come in place of terms and conditions. Yeah. So and this is one of our limitations. While the logical mind is a great tool to have, it's great to sharpen it, but it is also limiting. And that's one of the biggest things that I've realized on my journey. How limiting the logical mind, the analytical mind can be, despite the fact that it helps us a lot. Right? So we try and not listen to the logical fact-finding mind. Okay, what is the color? But rather allow the color to come up, and some color will come up. Right? And your mind might say, oh, I'm just stereotyping this. Thank you, mind. Stereotyping, that's fine. Whatever color comes up, let it come up. And once the color comes up, or broadly you think of some color in your mind, there is a visual imagination of some color, then go a little deeper into that color. And when I say go a little deeper into that color, what I mean is try and see what is the shade of this color. So if for me the image is black, is it really black or is it dark gray? Is it dark gray everywhere or dark gray right in the middle center and then the grayness fades away? Right? So really looking at, okay, what is the color? What kind of a shape has it taken? Is it like just like a blotch or like a cloud shapeless or like an amoeba shifting shapes, or does it have a defined shape? Yeah. So we know the color, we know the shape. Now see how far or close is it from you? So we've invited it in, and now just notice. Do you feel that the feeling, so I picked up anxiety. Do you feel the anxiety is right here? Like it's just too big in front of you? Or is it too far away? If it is too close, what I would invite you to do is wherever you are feeling it, if you're feeling it right in front of you, just put a hand and slowly push it a little away. So you're not pushing it away. You're just creating some distance from it. Now you've created some distance. If it is too far, try and go a little closer to it and go as close as you feel safe. Yeah? The idea is that it should not be too far away and it should not be in your face that you can't see anything. And it should not be too far away that you can't feel anything. So allowing it, again, there is no right or wrong, right? Whatever feels right for you. Now, if you have it in a space where you're at a comfortable enough distance and you can feel into it. So now this is you having invited it in. Now I want you to look at the meta feeling. What is meta feeling? A feeling about a feeling. So the anxiety itself is a feeling, right? The feeling or the emotion. But as I mentioned earlier, whatever physical manifestations you have, whether it is the heart beating fast or it is sweating or it is stress in the eyes or heaviness in the chest, that is not the anxiety. That is how you feel towards the anxiety. So notice the difference. And now that you have this feeling in front of you, this anxiety in front of you, now see how are you feeling towards it right now? Not how you usually feel towards it. Right now, as you see it, how do you feel about it? And chances are that for most of us, we might be okay. Like it might not be too scary, it might not be too heavy, it might not be too fearful right now. Yeah? What happens in your day-to-day is that you react to the feeling with the same feeling. So when there's anxiety, you become anxious about the anxiety. When there is anger, you become angry about the anger. Because especially emotions like anger are always hiding hurt. Whenever we feel hurt, we become angry to protect the hurt. Yeah. So again, so how do you feel towards this emotion right now? And just notice the difference again. The most important key in this entire journey, in this entire space, is the skill of observation, is the job of being the observer. So just observe how your feeling towards this feeling is different right now. And usually this is not how you feel about the feeling. Now stepping into that difference, we come to the third step, which is listen. So now that you're able to be in the same space with this feeling without getting overwhelmed by it, Now, can you actually open yourself to listen to what this feeling might actually be telling you? And I'll give you an example. For example, when anxiety comes in, it is trying to tell you of all the things that can possibly go wrong. So, in a way, it's your very own personal risk analyst for you. Always there, ready to tell you, hey, this can go wrong, this can go wrong, this can go wrong. If anger has come in, as I just mentioned, anger is usually hiding hurt. So if anger has come in, anger is coming in telling you, hey, this was probably not fair. This you did not deserve. This should not have happened. Here, you should have probably stood up for yourself. So it is coming in telling you something that you haven't liked. Similarly, if there is fear, then the fear is probably telling you to watch out, to be cautious. Something can harm you. Yeah. When sadness has come in, sadness is probably telling you that there is something that needs to be grieved that you've not processed. Something is stuck somewhere, you haven't processed it, and that needs to be grieved. So literally every single emotion is coming to tell you something. Every emotion, imagine every emotion like a friend, a well-meaning, well-intended friend with a message to help you. Yeah. The way that we are used to relating to these emotions is almost like the good friend, the well-intended friend comes in, and then you scream at this well-intended friend, and you want this well-intended friend to go away because you don't want to see what this friend is telling you. So now in this moment, if you were to just allow yourself to open up to whatever emotion that is heavy for you, what does it normally tell you? And know that when this emotion is telling you these things, it is not saying you must fix it. It is only saying, can you acknowledge this? Can you acknowledge that there is a possibility that this might go wrong? Can you acknowledge that there might be a threat to your safety? Can you acknowledge that maybe you have been hurt? Can you just acknowledge? That's all the emotion is asking you to do. Yeah. And so in this moment, if you can take a few moments to just allow whatever information is coming in from the emotion and acknowledge that, okay, yeah, this is the truth of now. This is how I'm feeling right now. This is what is behind this emotion right now. This person has hurt me. This situation is not easy. This situation has a lot of risks. There is a possibility that that might happen. Just open up yourself to that. And again, notice as you open up to this listening, how do you feel? How do you feel in relation to this emotion? And there might be some of us might almost experience a sense of release in just being able to invite, listen, and acknowledge. And in this moment, I also invite you in to, if you want to have a dialogue with this emotion, wherein you thank the emotion, thank you for the message that you're bringing in, and sorry for not listening to you for so long. I would want to build a different relationship with you. I would want to invite you in more and listen to you more. Because like anything else, this is practice, right? It's just the way if you want to be physically strong or have muscles or build, whatever various lean, toned up body, you need to do exercises of certain different kinds and you need to do it consistently. to build that kind of body. Similarly, if you actually want to be able to work with emotions, you need to practice it enough. You need to practice the workings enough, and that's when the shifts start happening. Okay? So in this moment, you have this conversation, allow yourself to reconnect and re-establish a new kind of relationship with this emotion. And also just have a conversation around, okay, how do we relate when you come up next time? And so when you come up next time, I will try and pause myself and invite you in. Can you stay a little distance away so that I can actually see you and listen to you? Literally just have that conversation, you know? And again, none of this is logical, yeah? So don't look for logical thinking. If you want research or science behind it, then well, research and science says that anything that you imagine, so this is, you can almost say this is visualization or imagination. And by the way, visualization, imagination are very strong techniques in a lot of spiritual traditions, a lot of old spiritual traditions. And science says anything visualized or imagined, the stronger the visualization or the imagination, the more true the mind actually thinks it is. And so it works just as good as it would have worked if it were quote unquote real or in the actual tangible form, right? So if you were to actually eat an ice cream, how you would feel, how your mind would feel, if you can create a visualization, the stronger the visualization of eating the ice cream, the more your mind will actually think you've eaten the ice cream. So there is also research and science behind it. Coming back to the conversation, and again saying, okay, making that sort of an agreement. Every relationship you're making agreements, right? Every relationship you're sort of doing the dance. And at times people might use the word compromise. I don't think it's compromise. I think compromise, when you do a compromise, there is a negative connotation to it of, okay, I can't get this. But the idea of all relationships is to dance in a way that you're always fitting in with the right steps of each other, which again takes time, right? If you have done any couple dance, you'll realize there's a lot of practice that goes into any couple dance, group dance, whatever. Yeah. So relationships are like that, and you have a relationship with the emotion. So look at, okay, I am ready to pause. I am ready to invite you in. Can you stay far away so that I can actually listen to you? And then by doing just that much, by just having that conversation, again, you will sense in your body that you actually feel a relief. When right now, your body is probably not activated, But when you're in the moment, your body will be activated. Yeah. And it might not be very easy to do the 3 steps. Still do the 3 steps. It's just like with physical exercise. In the beginning, it is not easy. Yeah, muscles pain, there is soreness, you don't want to do it the next day. But if you don't do it the next day, then you fall back. And so it doesn't matter if you're not doing it good enough, you still do it. Right? And then when you're in the moment, you do pause, you invite, you listen, and then you practice the next step of release. And the way to practice release is what we'll do right now. Let's say the physical manifestation of the emotion is a lot of heaviness here and a lot of chokedness here, as if something is stuck. What I would then invite you to do is breathe in from the nose and release from the mouth. And with the sound, right? So there has to be an exhale and there has to be a sound. And then again, and you can do it right now. It will right now also help you release. So breathe in. And breathe in again. Yeah. And the more you embody it, and what is body? Embody is actually feeling it in the body. So I breathe in, and then when I release, you'll see me going down a little. Yeah, because everything goes in. And so I'm following my body in the release. The more I learn to follow my body in the release, the more the release work, the emotional release work happens. So one way to release is this. The other way to release is, let's say that you were feeling choked here. So you look in front at whatever is, not the phone, but whatever is just above the phone. And it might be a wall, it might be a blank wall, it might be a picture, painting, whatever it is. Just look at that. And then very slowly, continuously looking at whatever comes in your line of sight, and you start moving your head from straight to right. Very slowly, keep moving to the right as much as you can comfortably. And then again, come back to the center, slowly looking at whatever is in front of you, and then going left, again slowly looking at whatever is in front of you, and then slowly coming back. Once you've done that, then take your shoulders up to your ears, and then almost as if tighten them here, and then let them drop. Yeah. Up as much as you can to the ears, drop. And once again, up to the ears, drop. And again, just with these two things, you'll find a release in the upper cavity. So the throat and the chest, there'll be some release of whatever tension, pressure was here. Yeah. So there are very simple physical things that we can do to release emotion. The only thing to keep in mind is that the release is the last step. So you don't just release. I mean, one can just release, but when one just releases, then one is not building the muscle. And so the first three steps are important because, as I said, it is not the emotion that's heavy or that's the problem. It is how I'm relating to the emotion. And if my relationship with the emotion is unhealthy, then I will feel as if it's overwhelming. I don't have the capacity to hold the emotion. And so the first three steps are helping us develop the muscle of being able to hold this capacity to work with this emotion. Once you do that, then do the release work. Yeah, and I'm going to pause at that. That is PILR for everybody. If anyone has any questions, please do put it up on the chat. I would love to look at them and see what we can do right now.
Thank you. It is looking like very simple, but very profound and deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everything that's actually meaningful, you'll find it to be very simple. I think some 7-8 years back, I had realized that there are two kinds of simplicities. There's a simplicity at the bottom, that there is a huge phase of complexity, and then there's a simplicity at the top. Most people who don't seem to have any problems are in the bottom level of simplicity. And very few people are at the top level of simplicity. A lot of people are in the complexity. When people are in this complexity, they are trying to find the simplicity by going down here or trying to find an answer in their complexity. But actually, the answer is in the top layer of simplicity, which is simplicity, very simple. But as you said, there is a lot of depth in it. Somebody has asked a question.
When there are people around during an angry situation, when can this be done?
Yeah. So I'll say two things to this, yeah. One is, let's say you're practicing, or let's say you want to run a full marathon, which is 42 kilometers, and you have never practiced running, or you have never practiced running long distance, right? And tomorrow you want to run the 42 kilometers. It will probably not happen. And if it does happen, you'll feel absolutely burnt out in the body, right? And this is also an issue with people in this space, in this journey, who try to do too much too soon, which can impact inversely. And so the anger then either gets turned inside or then stays bottled up and shows actually in physical dis-ease, or it starts showing as outbursts at different times on people who did not deserve it. So that's one thing, that just like you cannot run a 42 kilometer full marathon just at the whim and fancy of your mind tomorrow morning. You'll have to build towards it. Similarly with emotions and this process, you'll have to build towards it. So I would start with one, just practicing like we did today. So bringing to mind the last moment, last event where I got angry and what I can, and then see, we are not engaging at all in this with who I got angry on. Because we're saying actually the power doesn't lie in the outside, right? If I could change the other person, that would be the simplest thing. That would be not the simplest thing, that would be the easiest thing for me. If everybody else could change, then I would have a happy life. But everybody knows that this doesn't happen. And so the work is in the inside. So even in this whole process, I never once mentioned, okay, who do you feel it about? It doesn't matter who I feel it about. I practice with these processes with my own self, number one. Second thing, I can practice it in the moment when I am not super triggered. So if let's say on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 is madly furious and 0 is not angry at all, maybe I might be able to do it when I'm at a 4 or 5. Yeah, not extremely angry, some anger, but it's okay, I can handle. And that can be a situation where I can try to practice this there and then. So let's say I'm with Kritika and I am at a 4 or 5 state of 4 or 5 scale on the anger, on the range of anger, and I can sense, okay, now I feel the anger. I don't have to say anything necessary to her. I can just pause. If she said something, I don't have to react. I can just pause, notice my breath. And as I'm noticing my breath, the anger, the shape and the form of anger is going to come. And I just let it be. And then it will, we've done this as 4 different processes, but actually it will just happen. As you remember, as you practice the process, it will just come up on its own. Then you will start hearing and seeing what beyond is the anger saying, right? And then once you hear, then you might be able to better respond. So then I might be able to tell Kritika, hey, I think I don't feel heard right now, and that's making me feel angry. Can we do this in a different way? Or if I see that actually even Kritika is triggered, I am also angry, Kritika is also angry. Many a times you might notice that in different kinds of relationships, and relationships are, we normally think of either, family or a partner, but every single person that you interact with, you're in a relationship, right? And so wherever you are in the relationship, many a times you might find when you are angry, you trigger either the anger in the other or you trigger the fear of and shutdown in the other. But every time that you are triggered, more often than not, the other person also will get triggered. So then, yeah, and so then I might be able to see, okay, maybe Kritika is also right now triggered, so there's not going to be much point. So, hey, but I have been able to invite the anger, I have been able to listen to the anger. So then I'll say, hey, Kritika, I think right now this is not going to be a very fruitful conversation. Let's just pause and let's just take a break. Let's come back in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I can do the PILR, I can do the release, and then I'll be in a better space to talk to Kritika. What happens when you're on an 8, 9, 10 and you haven't practiced? Number one, even if you practice, there will be an 8, 9, 10 for you, right? The tolerance goes up, which means what was 8, 9, 10 for you yesterday will today become 4, 5, 6. And eventually, hopefully, if we keep practicing, we might never reach 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So the idea is to build that capacity so that the 8, 9, 10 keeps going further and further away. But whenever I'm in an 8, 9, 10, there is a huge chance that I will react because that's what my mind is used to. Hmm? So this is the first thing to remember. The second thing to remember is something that my spiritual teacher says. They say, when angry, become a log, become like a piece of wood. What does a piece of wood do? It does nothing. It says nothing, right? So become a piece of wood, let there be nothing coming out of your mouth. And if you are able to say, I need a break, I'll come back in an hour, say that. If you're not even able to say that, walk out of the space. And then once you walk out, then again, if you're at an 8, 9, 10, you might not immediately want to do PILR. And that's fine. Give yourself time. Whatever happens, whatever your processing is, with practice, this will happen faster. The time interval will start reducing. Right? Whenever you're able to, then you do the PILR method and then you come back. But anger, that's the best way to work with anger. When at an 8, 9, 10, you close yourself. Go. Work on yourself, then come back.
So I'll just repeat what I understood.
Mm-hmm.
So suppose today I have an emotion and I don't even realize I was in with a difficult emotion. So the moment I realize that I was in a difficult emotion, at that moment only I can practice the PILR.
Yeah.
And then develop a dialogue and relationship with that emotion, that next time when you come, I'll do that. We will work in this process. So next time when it comes, might be today it took 8 hours to be conscious, to be aware that I had this emotion. There are chances that next time it will be shortened or be 6 hours, and gradually, like, we have to bring our consciousness, and gradually, like, it can be at that same moment as you described.
Yeah.
Rashmi says thank you.
Yeah.
So other people who have question or any question related to this, also they can ask.
So as people see what they want to do, if they have questions, Kritika would love to hear from you how you found the process and what you think about it.
Okay. So I really find this is like I'll again relate it to food. So like many people ask me about like how to practice conscious eating. So like when we are not in a conscious mind, then the conscious eating becomes very difficult. So I tell them, practice conscious eating whenever you are conscious. Like to build it in a state when you are not conscious, you have to start with when you are conscious about it.
Yeah.
So I feel this process is similar. To befriend, like we all know, like as you said, emotions are not bad, they are not enemy, they are trying to communicate us something. And it has been because for years maybe we have been pushing them around and not acknowledging that we are busting out today. So to gradually be friend with them, we have to start listening to them, we have to start acknowledging them they are there.
Yeah.
So initially it will be difficult. Like we have to start practice when we are conscious, back to consciousness, and I really feel gradually this will happen.
Yeah.
But as you said, building the muscles will take time.
Yeah. I also feel like just the awareness, just knowing that, oh, okay, something like this can happen. That itself is half the work done. Of course, then the other half is actually to do it. But I realize I've seen like many of us don't even know what can be done because again, the way our education system is and the way the society is, you look at who did what in 1878, but you don't look at what's happening right now within me, around me.
Yeah, and I think the people who are here right now listening, they are in this process already. Like they are aware, that's why they want to learn this
Yeah,
and go. So I really feel like to give a huge shout out and thank you for those people,
yeah,
because they are half done this process.
yeah, yeah. All
So thank
right.
you so much for coming here and like telling that. It
Yeah,
is grateful that you into that process.
yeah.
Yes, Shobhali.
No, I was just saying, I was just gonna thank Sukanya as well, and yeah, and I guess if nobody has any questions, we can then close out, and this will be live. If the people who are here, if you think this would be beneficial for anybody else that you know, do share it with them. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think this is the first set of the process, like in the tip of the iceberg of what the process looks like. So, if anyone would like to know or practice with you, how can they get in touch with you about? I think you do more detailed workshop on those also now.
yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for asking that. So one, I have just rolled out, and this will be a year-long process, right? We'll start with a 9-week intensive, and then we'll do monthly trainings for the next 10 months. So it'll be a year-long support system, wherein I mentioned in the beginning, right, Kritika, about these 3 needs based off which we are doing everything, and we think that we'll meet them in the outside, but the actual twist is to first get them met in the inside, and then everything shifts. So my vision is to have a world with healed people. Because in 2000, I think 2016, I heard this phrase that says, hurt people, healed people, heal people. And that has just stayed with me, right? And over the last 5, 6 years, it has just strengthened so much more, because when you look at the world, you see everybody, there's so much hurt, not because there are so many bad people, but because everybody is hurting, you know, and everybody seems to be in this almost like a wrestling match of whose hurt is bigger. So when two people are angry at each other while they are shouting at the face of it, basically both are hurting, and I'm hurting and I'm trying to protect myself, and so I become more and more angry at you. The more angry I become at you, the more you hurt, and the more you try to protect yourself, and so you become more angry, and and that's at all the levels, right? Whether it's the fight between countries, whether it's wars that have been fought for, ages, all of it is nothing but people hurting and not knowing how to heal. And so my vision is to create a world of healed people, and I believe that the only way to do that is to first understand healing in yourself. The way to understand healing in yourself is to see the hurting in you. Once you see the hurting, once you understand the healing process, only then do you start seeing in others. And only when you start seeing in others can you create spaces of healing for others. And so the purpose of this program is to first and foremost help you be able to meet the 3 core needs within you, so that you would no more out in the world desperate to meet those needs. Once that feeling of desperation goes away, then it is not like you're not in a relationship. You can be married, you can have children, you can do whatever. But now there is no desperation because the needs are met. You're content. Now everything else in the outer world is just a manifestation. It's just a part. You are okay. And when we are not operating from that survival space, then we can be magnificent beings. You know? So that's the program where you build that. Then I teach you how to actually hold a healing space for your own self. Because if you think about therapy and therapeutic spaces, the therapeutic spaces meet those 3 needs, right? The therapist or a good therapist will create a space where you find yourself to be feeling safe. They will create a space where you feel connected to them, and they will create a space where you have insights and learnings, so you're growing. Those 3 needs are met, and that's where therapy works. And when a therapeutic space does not or cannot create those 3 things, those spaces don't work as well, right? So So we work on how do we create this space within so that we can hold our own self-healing space. And I believe this is important because normally what happens is in a therapeutic setting, the therapist or the healer, whoever the person is doing all of this work for you. And as I mentioned in the beginning, you feel something has shifted and you can see things have shifted in your life, but you haven't understood what has happened, right? And if you haven't understood, you can't do it for anybody else. So the work here will be to sort of understand how this healing process happens, do it with your own self, and then there'll be opportunity for you to do it with others in the group. And thereafter, learn a couple of different healing modalities, learn how is like that. It's a 9 week intensive and then followed up by monthly training modalities, training workshops. Um, the way to find it is you can if you follow my link, either Shobhali Thapa or Swaheal, Swar.heal. I will be putting out a post which will have a link to, there's a video, and in the video, a lot of what I'm saying right now is what is shared. But more than that, it also talks about, okay, what can you do if you want to do this work by yourself? What are the few things that you need to keep in mind? And then you do the work by yourself. And if you want a journey, a support, somebody to work with a group and with somebody who has done this, then there's the option of the program for you. Yeah. Can't hear you, Kritika.
Okay, there is
Ah,
someone who's hi. So
yeah,
I'm just telling the session is about to end today.
yeah.
So this live will be available. You
Mm,
can see the live later, and you can follow Swahil or Shobhali.Thapa to get in touch with her and get to know about other programs which is she is sharing, and many other. She shares many beautiful posts which can help you in self-healing journey and self-care journey. So do check her Instagram account and check on the post. She did a series last month, no, in
mm.
November,
In
on self-care.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that was great series.
Thank you, Kritika. Thank you so much for holding this space, and thank you everybody for being a part of this. Yeah,
Thank you. And thank you for you to come so early in the morning. For India, we have evening, but I
yeah,
suppose in your place it is very early morning.
yeah,
And since you wanted many people to benefit, you said let's do an Insta live rather than Zoom.
yeah, yeah.
So one request to everyone: if you find a value of this program, please help Shobhali. You can donate whatever you feel,
Mm,
because I hear her vision is very great and
mm,
she want to reach a lot of people and support them to be able to heal the world.
mm.
So you can get in touch with her and donate to her work if possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll end this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Kritika, bye. Bye, everybody. Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining here. You can share like how what were your key takeaways. You can email Shobhali and
Mm,
me so that we can get to know like how was the experience for you, because we
yeah,
couldn't hear you right now.
yeah, yeah.
Good night everyone. Bye bye.